What's up, mofos? Welcome to the show. I'm Eric Harrison, and today we're going to continue our Nightmare on Elm Street franchise review with Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge from 1985. What the hell is he getting revenge for? I don't know. Whatever. Roll clip.
Someone is coming back to Elm Street. He is not friendly. He is not patient.
Kill for me.
And he is not a welcome visitor.
No!
But he has something terribly special for the new kid on the block.
It started to happen again.
Dad!
I'm in trouble. You've had some scary dreams, okay? Help!
Daddy can't help you now.
There's something inside him.
Fight him! You're not afraid of him. He doesn't even exist.
Freddy Krueger is back on Elm Street.
Get out of here, Lisa!
Jesse, fight him!
Watch out for him. He'll be in your neighborhood soon. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 2.
You are all my children now.
Freddy's Revenge.
Alright, so Freddy's Revenge came out in 1985, and it was directed by some dude named Jack Sholder. The movie stars Mark Patton as the lead role of Jesse, as well as Kim Myers, who plays his friend/love interest. And let's not forget, the badass Robert Englund is back to reprise his role as the infamous Freddy Krueger. It's my understanding that when they first started filming in this, for whatever reason, they hired some other guy to play Freddy. I guess they just assumed it was like just makeup and a costume, so you can put that on anybody and you got yourself a Freddy Krueger. But no, it don't work like that. And apparently they weren't pleased with the results they were getting, so they had to convince Robert Englund to come back, and thank you God that he did. Thank you, Robert, for coming back and showing them how Freddy's done.
You are all my children now.
Alright guys, so let's just jump into the plot of this sucker. This is set 5 years after the original. The Walsh family has just moved into the Elm Street house. Immediately after having moved in, their son Jesse begins having nightmares, and then next thing you know, he's being possessed by this child murderer called Freddy Krueger, who uses him to kill the other Elm Street kids. And then his friend/love interest Lisa has to come along and save the day to prove once and for all that straight heterosexual love wins over that evil homosexuality every time. Of course, that's just me reading into the subtext of the movie. Maybe that's not what they meant to convey, but that's what I get out of it. Okay, so this movie was pretty much doomed from the get-go because, first of all, Wes Craven didn't even want sequels to his movie, and then when he found out that they were pretty much abandoning the guidelines and the rules he had set forth in the original, he washed his hands of it and he was like, I don't want anything to do with this. And I don't blame him, because he didn't want them to make sequels, but if they were going to, and you know, of course they were going to, he gave them a sure thing. He gave them a horror fantasy with infinite possibilities, and they were like, you know what, that's great, but we're going to go in our own direction. I mean, that's ridiculous. Is not the dream factor the entire premise of the original movie? And then they get to the sequel, part 2, and they're like, you know what, we're going to take that whole dream premise and just kind of crumple it up and throw it away, and we're going to go in our own direction. No, I don't think so. That was mistake number 1, and this is the reason why this movie failed, and why a lot of people consider it the weakest, probably not, well, maybe the weakest link in the series. Especially when it was the first sequel, when it was the movie that came directly after number 1. To completely abandon the whole dream premise is ridiculous. What the hell kind of bullshit is that? What I mean is that in the original, the characters of the movie were afraid to fall asleep, because if they fell asleep, then Freddy would, you know, start taunting them and then kill them in their sleep. Now, what happens in this movie is that, I don't know, Freddy possesses Jesse and uses him to kill other kids. So now it's not people are dying because they fall asleep. Now it's people are dying because Jesse fell asleep. And it really perverts the dream aspect of the movie. The movie starts with a good one in the beginning with the whole bus thing. At least it's surreal, it's epic, it's big, it's interesting. Now, once in a while, you'll get an interesting dream sequence like when Freddy bursts out of Jesse. But then a lot of times, most of the time, it's actually all pretty lame with like scenes where balls flying at somebody's face and towel snapping an ass. Seriously, there's an infinite amount of possibilities with the whole dream premise, and you guys just threw that away and went with ass slapping? Come on, really? This is a problem. It changes the entire dynamic of the movie, and for me, it takes away a lot of the fear, takes away a lot of my ability to relate to the characters as someone that has to, go to sleep and dream too, and it takes away the imagination. What I'm wondering is are what they trying to say is that Freddy is so weak from having been defeated by Nancy that he can't get into people's dreams, just Jesse, just the one guy, and he's using Jesse to kill? Is it kind of like Freddy versus Jason? Is he using somebody else to try and kill and generate fear?
Kill for me!
But I guess we'll never really know, because that's not actually explained, is it? It's not explained. They just do it. And you're just left with a possession movie, essentially. When I watch this movie, it often comes off less as a slasher to me, and definitely less of a fantasy horror and more of like a haunting or a possession type movie.
So you live around here or what?
Yeah, my parents just bought a place on Elm Street.
You tell me you moved to that big white house with the bars in the window?
Yeah, what about it?
Some chick was locked in there by her mother and she went crazy.
Dad, how come it took them 5 years to sell this house?
Oh, I don't know. I just couldn't get the right price, I suppose.
You didn't know anything about the murder across the street?
They told me something about it.
You mean you knew something about this and
Oh,
you...
come on, Cheryl. How do you think we got such a good deal here? There's absolutely nothing, I mean nothing, wrong with this house. Good Lord. Look here, Cheryl. You weren't even plugged in.
Did they tell you that that girl lost her mind? And her mother killed herself in our living room?
Critics are calling it absolutely terrible. A complete waste of $250 million. The worst film ever.
You can't! I'm so scared.
I really wish they could have brought Nancy back in part 2. In fact, they brought her back in 3 Dream Warriors, and it makes me wish that number 2, Freddy's Revenge, didn't exist at all. I wish they had just went from A Nightmare on Elm Street to Dream Warriors. That would have been the best fucking sequel ever. But yeah, it's a shame that they didn't bring the character of Nancy back for part 2. It seems like it would have been the way to go, but for whatever reason they didn't. Maybe they couldn't afford her, maybe they just didn't want her. Who knows? It would have been way better, because I feel like Nancy is the definitely a worthy opponent to Freddy. I do have to give them credit for casting a male lead in this movie, which is in the horror genre is not common. Usually it's almost always a final girl. But still, even though they cast a male lead, ultimately it is a girl that winds up saving the day and being the final girl anyhow, so whatever. It's just like, see, like they put it in there maybe just to be different, and then it didn't work out, so they still had to bring this girl in to save the day. But I know you've heard about it 1,000 times, we must at least touch upon, no pun intended, the homoerotic subtext of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. Now, it's been confirmed by the screenwriter David Chaskin that he intentionally put a homoerotic subtext into the screenplay. Then the fact that they hired Mark Patton, who is a openly gay actor in the role of Jesse, just kind of amplified the undertones. It sticks out like a sore thumb. Once you know this and you see this, you can't unsee it. You can never watch the movie the same again. Alright guys, so let's wrap this sucker up. I give it Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge, 1.5 stars. I don't like it as much as I used to when I was a kid, and I didn't know better. Now that I know better and I watched the movie, it's just not as good as I remembered. And it certainly doesn't compare to the original. 1.5 out of 5 stars, meh. Anyway, so yes, of course, I did do a commentary for this one. If you want to go and watch the movie with me, I just want to give you fair warning right now that I didn't enjoy watching the movie while I did the commentary, and it shows. So, fair warning. In the first half hour, I'm kind of trying to be optimistic, trying to crack wise and be funny. Second half hour of the movie, I'm just kind of lost and don't know what to say. And by the last third of the movie, it just becomes a bitch-a-thon. So, like I said, watch at your own risk. If you want to check it out with me, it ultimately turns into me saying, what the fuck? A lot. Just be what the fuck? Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. It's going to be a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. We're recording. Okay. Guess what? Guess what? We're recording this shit right now. Right now. I'm fucking recording this shit to make a video. Don't fucking tell anybody, okay? It's between me and you. Me and you. Fucking ingenious.